Perfectly honest, I thought I had already done a review on the Baton 3 by Olight. Turns out I hadn't. Maybe it's just because I assumed so much had been said about it that I didn't need to say something about it. Well, I wanted to put my 2 cents in. So this is the Baton 3. I've had these for a while. I've used them from time to time. They're really good. I'll tell you all about it in a second. And I figured it was a good opportunity because Olight sent over this for me to review. And this is one of the brand new titanium versions of the Baton 3. So let's take our first look at this, see what's different, and we'll go from there. All right, so this is the Baton 3. Now I have had the red and the blue for a while, basically since they were originally announced. There have been many other colors since. We have orange, we have white, we have green, and many others, all in aluminum. But now we actually have the four seasons plus the Infinity one that are just being released for this Black Friday sale. Now we'll get to those in just a second, but let's quickly just run through what is the Baton 3. So this is an upgraded version of the Olight S1 R2. In almost every way, they've made improvements to these flashlights. Maximum output of 1200 lumens, much longer run times in the lowest moonlight mode. On top of that, significant longevity. And that is using these charging cases. So these charging cases have an 18650 battery inside them, and they are charged with a USB Type-C port. Now, this works a lot like AirPods, basically. And what you will do is you'll be able to get 3.5 charges out of each of the cases before needing to be recharged. They have little lights that indicate whether it's charged or not, and the moment you put it in the case, it will begin charging, which I find particularly cool. I was not sure this would be something I would enjoy, but I did figure out where this really fits in my flashlight collection personally. This is the light that I take on vacations because the combination of the light and the case gives me so much longevity for what I'm using that I almost never need to worry about recharging whatsoever. Pretty much I don't even have to worry about charging cables. And the fact that this USB Type-C, just like my phone and many other things that I use, it made my life so much easier. That is the reason why I carry this one. Even though there are times when I either want a smaller light or a bigger one, this kind of hits the perfect middle ground for me personally. 1200 lumens is nothing to sneeze at. And the fact that you can run it on low, so if you're reading a book or elsewhere, it's both light enough, small enough, and powerful enough to basically cover the entire spectrum. And I really like its ability to fit almost anywhere, and a lot of people really enjoy it. With that being said, I'm not going to go fully into the statistics and the exact spacing and UI. That is very common information, and we'll try to put that up at the very end of this video, kind of as a single image if you want to know. But I want to focus primarily on the new versions of the Baton 3. Functionally speaking, output-wise, they are identical in every way to the current versions, the previous versions of the Baton 3. They have a case, they charge in the case, 3.5 or 3.7 charges or whatever that happens to be. The biggest difference with these is going to be cosmetically. Obviously, you're going to have on the outside of the case, you're going to have a little indicator of the season. In this case, I have the autumn variant of the light. It comes in like this steel gray, almost charcoal color. And reveal time. Yeah. So one thing I noticed, because they asked me which one I would like to test, this is significantly darker than the images that they have shown elsewhere. A lot of times you don't get exactly the same look as what it looks like in the images, and I was really happy to find that it was much darker, almost a charcoal, almost black blackish color, and it really, really stands out to me. A lot of the writing on the outside, I like the combination of the kind of gold and charcoal because you only really see it as it's kind of being lit up, which is really neat. The patterning is really different. In the past, of course, they did a pretty standard knurling pattern. This is on the aluminum. Now this offers quite a bit of traction and it's very functional. Whereas the one from the titanium, it's a bit different. As you can see, there's a lot of little differences in where they have placed things and spacing. But I'll swear it's pretty much the same. Yeah, pretty much the same. The other thing we'll notice here is they actually wrote autumn on the pocket clip as well. And you can, as you can see, there's a symbol. So what I have found, because people are going to ask, is it different when it comes to grip on the pocket? That part I can confirm positively. It has about the same grip as this one does. And you notice how this is resting on that knurling. This has this little second lip and it seems to rest really nicely there. So it grips very firmly right there at that spot. And of course, it's just like the previous clips, it has that little indentation that pushes down on your pocket as well. The real question of whether you get this or not, or you're interested, is going to have a lot to do about collecting value, because each one of these, there's only about 5,000 of them, and there's 8,000 of the Infinity version, which is in copper. The real question for me is, how do I feel about the patterning? Because that is something that clearly is in contention, and some people really like it, really like what they're doing, and then some people prefer a much cleaner look as far as a simple pattern and so on. I'm very curious to hear what people say in the comments. Do you hate it? Do you love it? This is something I'm curious about. Now, regardless, these were probably going to sell, and they're going to sell quick because they are very limited, and this is probably the only time they're going to make these in titanium. I do hope very much, as I think a lot of people do, that they will eventually decide to not only make them in different colors, but in different tints, because from a size perspective, these are phenomenal. If they would just add some variance on the coloration of the light, where we could get maybe an SST 20, 4000 Kelvin, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, that would be phenomenal. Because that's really the only thing holding us back from being maybe in the top 3 best EDC flashlights maybe ever, is the fact that it doesn't have some of the access to the warmer tints that you see on some other flashlights. That's just personal preference for me, but I think I'm not the only one. But when it comes to looks, how slim it is, most flashlights that are using this battery tech, I find, are a little bit bigger than this one. This is one of the smallest that carries the 16340 battery. So really cool job. Thank you, Olight, for sending this out. I'll put a link to the sale that's going on starting, I think, in a couple of days down below. And let me know what you think. Is this worth it to you? Which is your favorite of all the colors? And I'm going to put them up on the screen here. What's your favorite? I'm very curious to see. Anyway, this is Max Level EDC, and we'll talk again soon.